Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Director's Commentary on One with Wolfpack Football. This is actually the final episode of Season 1, and then from here on, we're going to move on to another docu-series I worked on called Wolfpack Hustle. So, anyways, enjoy this final episode of Season 1. It is entitled Family. Thanks so much for watching.
The last episode of the first season. This is it's kind of a Thanksgiving episode. So this restaurant here is just the
Family's all about loving the people, putting all your differences aside.
Angus Barn Steakhouse in Raleigh.
I'm very proud of our players and our coaches.
Popular choice of large groups of people, particularly this particularly this football team.
That's the one that said the most about our players.
So this is kind of cool. They had like a tent or a room to themselves, just of the players that was around, coaches, family. One cool thing about this is that the one good thing about this, unique thing about this, is that I usually go home for Thanksgiving when I'm filming this show, but only for like a day. Just because I have to be back to work on this show. But the cool part was that I was invited to come to their Thanksgiving dinner at the Angus Barn. I needed to cover it for the show because I thought that was important. But other than that, I was like invited to come and eat and hang out and just be a part of things. So that was really cool. So spent the majority of my time there filming for the show, and then after I felt like I had enough, I just set everything down, grabbed a plate, and hung out with the staff for a little bit. So that was really cool. Again, not something that I'm looking for or needed to happen, but when you're around a program for as long as you are, it's kind of nice when you become sort of like a little bit of their family. Like it says right there. And that's the theme of this episode, is family. It is the last episode of season 1. And for the game this week, NC State is facing their rival, North Carolina. So a lot riding on this episode. There's pressure to recognize seniors who are playing their last game ever in the stadium. It's important to send people off on a high note, both from a game perspective and from the show. Like, we should treat everybody with the respect they deserve, right? So this episode features a really cool player feature, as in we're featuring 4 players, 4 seniors. All of them happen to be a part of the defensive line unit. Which during this year, the defensive line unit was just notorious for just being awesome. All 4 of them got drafted. Currently still playing in the NFL, which is a big deal. So it's got some name recognition behind this episode, which is always really cool when fans are recognizing stuff. These players. Is Bradley Chubb mic'd up? Testing people with trust falls.
He ain't family, bro. I have older brothers, and so growing up, we always competed against each other and everything we did, and we were always like messing around with each other, always fighting.
Okay, so this is our first senior, Bradley Chubb.
I'm doing the same thing with them because I feel like they're my brother now, and so I'm always.
I wanted to. It's tough to try and fit 4 people's stories in.
Me and BJ always playing around, me and Street always fighting and stuff. We live together. So
in one little segment. So any little extra bit I can get to try and to try and convey the message, to try and do justice to the story. I try and do that to the best of my ability. So like photos, like you saw with Bradley Chubb as a kid, anything I can get my hands on like that is always super important. When telling anybody's story, really, because it mixes up the media, it makes things interesting. So the tricky part with this is there are four guys. I'm just one camera person, and I couldn't really mic all four of them up. Both mainly from a resource and time standpoint. So because they're always around each other, I thought, okay, well, one day I will mic up one of them, Bradley Chubb, and then the next day I'll mic up the other. I think I mic'd up BJ Hill. So you hear them talking, but because they're around, Justin Jones, and then another player, Contavious Street, because they're around each other all the time, you're picking up sound bites of them as well, which is kills two birds with one stone. Sometimes many birds,
Hey, come on, let's go. Hey, great practice, man.
Again, I love the sound of pads getting hit. That's so cool. Contavious.
As a college, I feel like you're one big family. You share experience.
This dude cracks me up. He's always just a lot of fun.
Linked together in some way. But when I'm away from it, I feel like I'm like that whole circle gets condensed to me and my close circle.
He's like kind of he's a very animated talker. When it comes to being interviewed, like he doesn't really sit still that well, and so. Sorry. When you're interviewing someone and like in your head, what you want them to do is you want them to stay still and answer the questions. But a lot of people just have a different energy. Like they just can't stay still, or staying perfectly still while they talk is kind of uncomfortable. So whether that's, having to like lean forward a bit sometimes or lean back sometimes or talk with your hands, like you want your guests to be as comfortable as possible when answering these questions. And then you have to be willing to let them kind of like shift the frame of your shot, which always helps to have at least two people conducting an interview. One person is asking the questions, the other person is adjusting the camera. Particularly with this style of interview where the subject is looking off to the side of the screen.
I think should.
We good? All right, just make sure we get our communications line up. Make sure we got our eyes on the key. Make sure you got your eyes on your key. And the softest person at practice today was you, Chubb. Let's go.
Whoa.
Let's go. Ready? Let's go. Pack on two. Pack on two. 1, 2.
Pack. There we go. Family.
Yeah.
Love. Just the family aspect of everything that we had here. Just
Again, one of the best parts of this job is just seeing people
I know there's gonna be a family beyond this, but
seeing people mess around and love each other.
missing everybody every day.
There's just too much of the negativity in the world, so this is always fun.
Think about the guys that I've transitioned into a man with, the guys I've bled with, I sweated with, cried with.
So one of the cool things about doing a feature on seniors is that you have years and years and years of footage to work with when you do some kind of like package or feature on them, because they've been playing for 4 or 5, sometimes 6 years, depending on circumstances. But it's just really cool to have that plethora of footage to go through in order to properly acknowledge and tell the story of these guys who are playing their last game in an NC State uniform.
Since day one we stepped on campus until our last game of the season, I think we'll always be.
Should have framed BJ up a little bit better. The top of his head is cut off a little bit. That was, that's my fault. I'm not entirely sure what was going on when I was setting things up, but it's all part of growth, right? Adjusting to these things and noticing these things.
Who he is or mom never met her, Yeah, they're related, but that doesn't mean that they're really family. Family to me is someone that you would do anything for, and how do you get to that point?
The tricky thing is, like, I always get emotional during this week. because of like the themes, togetherness and family. That has a lot to do with it. Also seeing people that I might have known for like 4 years just going off on their respective journeys to achieve their dreams is just really cool after you've seen them grow and grow and grow. It's really awesome. It's people you care about. And there's a lot of people just have different approaches. For me, I very much approached this as a job. Like it was my job to be objective as possible when I'm trying to tell these stories. I do get attached, but I never thought of myself or never wanted to think of myself as like that close with them. Because for some reason in my head, I was thinking that might negatively affect my product because I would get too close to my subjects. But if your job is to cover a team over months, sometimes years, like that's inevitably going to happen. And you kind of have to, Chubb, what are you doing? You have to kind of accept that and recognize that you will get close. Like you can't put up a wall, because if you put up a wall, then you won't get the stuff you need. Like you need access, you need trust, you need to develop a relationship with your subject. And that's something I discovered the more I did this. Like I was very much matter of fact, didn't really want to interact with them too much unless I needed them for an interview or to mic them up or something like that. And I started to realize how cold that made me feel, or maybe that, I got paranoid that I would also come off cold. And very like selfish and singly purposely driven, word salad. And so I eventually would take a time to maybe after a game or before practice, after practice, a point where I wouldn't necessarily need to capture a moment with my camera. I would just, dap them up or just say hi or send them some support, like, hey, good game, just to show that I'm not there just to like, I'm not there for like a job, I even though it is a job, I want to try and convey that this means more to me because I know you and I respect you and I care about your future and your well-being. So it's a tricky balance that took me a while to discover, and it became, I think both on the personal side and the professional side, I think that stuff ended up being more rewarding to myself. So don't shut yourself off. Don't put up walls. Don't put up too many walls. So now we're in the game on senior day against a rival. That's a good way to start it. I don't remember exactly how this game goes, so this will be interesting. There's Gavin Locklear. It's a senior move. That's a senior. Really cool. Any moment I could to highlight seniors in this episode, I really wanted to take advantage of that. Including earlier before the game, you saw just clips of people we'd probably never seen before. Well, they were all seniors getting recognized during senior day. That was my mission with almost every senior episode I made, was like every senior needs to be in the show in some form. So even if it's not like an interview or anything, like we need to show them. Lots of good camera angles. Lots of good footage so far in this episode or in this game. So that's cool. Everybody's working hard. BJ. Great tackle.
You were like this. Here, and your feet were together. Get a base on it and keep driving into it, and you'll sustain that block. Elliott to throw in the pocket. Fires long over the middle. Open right in the play.
Oh, wow.
5-yard line. Cruises into the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina.
That's a good pass.
All right, come on, let's finish this drive now.
Finley to throw. He'll air it up down the right sideline for Myers.
That's also a good pass and a good catch.
Near the 50-yard line.
Jacoby Myers,
Coach Dave Doran. Hand off Hines with
another NFL talent.
tries to turn the corner. Met dropped in his own backfield.
We know how they gonna attack this defense, right?
Hand off to Carter. Met dropped in his own backfield. At the
Jermaine
20-yard
Pratt,
line.
another NFL talent.
Here's Elliott firing, and Carter's got it to 10.
Man, this should be a drinking game. Drink every time you see NFL talent.
Keeping option pitch to Hines around the right side. He's going to be thrown for loss.
They're not getting an edge. Nobody's coming up here playing outside of you, Will.
Back to throw Elliott. He's under the rush.
I can count on one hand the amount of times filming a football show that I've been asked to stop filming a huddle. It's usually if the game is not going well and players are frustrated, but for the most part, I'm allowed to film everything. That's great. That's a part of that trust again that you gain from making a connection with your subject.
Here's Elliott. He's going to be sacked back at the 39-yard line.
Lots of good energy moments in this game.
Myers, left sideline 40, 45, 50 out of bounds. Finley flush to his right. Now he's going to have to unload it. Puts it up for grabs. It's intercepted by Wolfpack at the 28. Wolfpack to the 30, 35. Up the right hash, Wolfpack, and he's finally gang tackled at the 45. Tackle come on a delayed blitz. Here's the handoff to Brown, and the blitzer who came in hit him first. That was Airius Moore. And then Bradley Chubb cleans up. It's a loss on the play.
Oh, they were up at the half. Like I said, I don't remember all of this.
You know that. They cannot run the football. Understand that they're gonna throw the football. We're gonna get trick plays. We're gonna get gadgets. All right, understand that.
The only way that team beats you is if you let them beat you. Yeah. I need leadership from my senior class. Leadership. If you want to win,
Y'all noticing a theme? Seniors, seniors, seniors.
0-0.
Handoff to Hines. Hines on his own run. Now cuts it back the middle of the field. Got a little running room. He's to the 30-yard line to the 35.
I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but the when it becomes nighttime and the stadium lights come on, it is really tough to try and get a good color balance on the footage because the grass just always ends up looking so yellow and gross. But in actuality, it's a very well kept turf. Grounds crew's really good at what they do. Oh wow, that was cool. That was a good one. Is that Airius? Yeah. Nice pick. I love bench moments. We did get to a point where, you know, there are certain players that don't get a lot of playing time, but they always bring the energy on the sideline. So I kind of stick around them because they're always going to have a really good reaction to stuff. So this was a really cool sequence because it timed up perfectly because Airius had that interception and and then a play or two plays later, Nyheim runs for a huge touchdown. Now, I'm still covering Airius getting congratulated on the bench and getting some emotion from him, and to have him look up and see that Nyheim goes for a touchdown, that was I was in the right place at the right time, shooting the right thing. So to cover him reacting to that, to the result of his effort, it was just really cool. Getting him celebrating. That is one of my favorite moments from making this show, was that moment right there. We got some color difference here. Things look a little bluer right now. Yeah, I see compared to that. Comes down to camera coordination and also better post-production on my part, trying to match these colors to make them look the same. Great ending.
50-yard line starting to pull away. And there's a missed tackle at the 20 and now brought down from behind at the 15-yard line. That should do it.
It's also a senior. So many good senior highlights here.
And run out the clock.
Or maybe Jermaine was a junior. I can't remember. Anyway. This is one of my favorite episodes, actually. That's really cool. I think this was an episode that the show got nominated for a sports video group college
All those words have benefited me not only
program series award, which is a conference held every year, specifically around sports video.
loyalty, being loyal.
So I think it was this episode that got us a nomination because we submitted work from this episode and we ended up being a finalist. So that was really cool. We didn't win, but that's okay.
Coaches always been on me about
It was really cool though.
maturing and throughout my 4 years here, and I feel like I've matured.
Again, with a senior episode, you've got so much footage to work with. Like, granted, the stuff I'm showing is from this past season because this is what I covered. This is what I have the easiest access to. So now, again, showing the seniors with their nameplates, giving respect. Little David Bowie cover underneath there as well.
They're great young
A lot of
guys,
fun.
and they're going to be very successful.
Always love making a senior episode.
Whether they get to continue to play, some of them will.
Right in the feels,
They're
man.
going to all be successful. They're really good human beings.
Right in the feels.
They're tough. They're loyal. They're accountable. They're a lot of fun, to be around, and that's what you want. You want to see a guy fulfill his dreams on the field and hope that he gets to continue, and if not, know that he's going to be somebody that's a leader in the industry that he chooses to be in. As a person, they're all very prepared. Very prepared.
The football team there's a lot of seniors, man. So many people on this team, so inevitably there's going to be a lot of people that are leaving each year.
Every day, watching these guys compete and practice, and the staff. And the
Shout out to all the camera crew for covering senior day recognition ceremony stuff, running out of the tunnel, getting their picture taken with their parents, hugs from coach, giving flowers to their mothers.
You have to be able to deal with them when they do, and I think
Takes a village, yeah.
as you look back on it, I don't think there isn't anything that you can say you wish you would have done this differently with these guys, because they are giving us everything they got. But the guys have battled and fought,
Really good stuff here.
and it's been a great journey with them.
This was a great journey for the first season.
So I really hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the first season of One with Wolfpack Football. So from here on, like I said, we're moving on to Wolfpack Hustle, which is a basketball-centered docu-series that I worked on for 3 seasons. So it should be a lot of fun. If you enjoyed what you watched today, the easiest thing you can do to help support what I'm making, and if you want to be up to date on the stuff that I do put out, go ahead and hit subscribe, as well as ringing the bell so you get notified whenever new stuff comes out. If you want to go even further and support the stuff that I'm making, please consider becoming a patron. You can check out the details for that in the description below. What else? Oh, if you have any comments or questions about anything you saw today, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. I would love to hear from you about anything related to what we're talking about. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.